Hi everyone, it's Tish with Naptime Creations. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making some more silicone molds, so let's jump in and get started. To make my molds, I'm going to be using acrylic blanks. Check out this beautiful rose blank I got, and I get my blanks from my friend Lindy on Instagram. I'll link her down below if you want to check her out and get some blanks. I'm also going to be making a etched heart keychain blank. So what I have here is just two plastic containers. They're just food containers. I'm going to use that to house my silicone mold. And I have 3 strips of clear packing tape overlapped on each other, so it kind of makes a barrier so the silicone isn't going to flow out of the bottom. And I'm just adding some hot glue just in case there is a little bit of a spill. It's going to keep that silicone in the little barrier here. And I'm going to be using Mold Star 15 Slow to make my molds. You can get it on Amazon. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, so you mix equal parts. And before you do that, you want to mix up each of the parts inside their containers. I just keep a plastic spoon in the container here and mix each part up for 1 minute before I measure it out. And I use my digital scale to measure everything out. And once you have equal parts measured, so if you want to make 8 ounces, you pour 4 ounces of part B and 4 ounces of part A, and then mix that up for 3 minutes before you pour it. And here I'm just taking a microfiber cloth and really wiping off that acrylic blank so there's no fingerprints or scuffs or anything showing up, because that will show in your mold and you don't want that to happen. And I'm also going to be using a little resin piece to put in the little blank space or the open area in my heart mold. You can definitely use resin pieces to make molds, but they do have to be perfect, so like no bubbles, no scratches or anything like that. And then you just pour in your silicone. Pretty simple and easy. You want to pour high up so that way there's a better chance of the air bubbles kind of popping on their own. I did have a few air bubbles show up in the rows, but it didn't affect the functionality of the mold. I ended up testing these out, and I'm going to be uploading that video tomorrow, so don't forget to subscribe so that way you don't miss that to see how they turned out. And then I just cover it up for 4 hours and they'll be ready to be demolded. So for this set of molds, I'm going to be doing a coaster mold, an agate slice coaster, another one of the etched keychains, and then a regular heart keychain. Same thing, I'm using plastic containers to house the molds, and I'm putting the blanks down on that tape there. And I have quite a few of my resin pieces that I'm going to be using to kind of fill in the negative space on these molds here. I had never tried to cast or make molds of little resin pieces that I had made, so I was wondering if it would work, and it worked out really well. But like I said, they need to be perfect, no bubbles or scratches or anything on them. And these little bits work great to fill shaker charms. I like to make resin shaker charms, so these are perfect for that. And same thing, I mixed my parts A and B in the container for 1 minute, and I'm just measuring out equal parts here. And for these 3 molds, I mixed up about 8 ounces of my Mold Star 15. And you want to make sure that your piece or your workstation is totally level as well. I did have one of my keychains. It didn't turn out level, which was kind of frustrating, but it wasn't that big of a deal because it's not that noticeable and it is a keychain, but still, you want to make sure everything is 100% level before you pour your silicone in. The silicone is expensive. It's more expensive per ounce than resin, so it's kind of a bummer when, something goes wrong. But it's all a learning process, and it's really a lot of fun to make your own molds. And these molds, like I said, they're just for me. They're not anything, I'm going to be selling or anything like that. This is just practice. I'm just sharing, for what works for me, what problems I ran into, type of thing. But if you wanted to make molds on like a professional level and sell them, I definitely recommend looking into getting some like 4-inch round or 5-inch round or 3-inch round cookie cutters off Amazon. Those are perfectly round and they work great to house your molds. So here it is the next day. I went ahead and pulled the tape off of this one. Some of the shaker bits didn't come off on the tape, but that's okay. They ended up popping right out just like that. Super simple and easy. And they turned out really nice. So it's definitely possible to cast your resin pieces. I didn't do anything to them at all. I just, cleaned them with that microfiber cloth and stuck them on the tape and poured the silicone on top. On this one, I had a little bit of overspill on the heart here, but that was okay. I'll just go in with some scissors and clip that off and it'll be good to go. And the acrylic blanks, you can kind of see on this one in the middle flower tulip section there. There's a little bit of paper. The acrylic blanks come with the paper attached, and I didn't get all the paper off, but it ended up turning out okay. It didn't affect the functionality of the mold. The etching still showed up really nice when I used it for my resin, but make sure that you get all the paper off when you're working with acrylic blanks if your blanks come with the paper on there. And one way to get everything off is to soak it in water. You can soak it in like warm water for about 5 minutes and it peels right off, which is something I learned working with the rose. I had to get all the paper off of that. And the hot glue too, it just peels right off the plastic containers so you can reuse those. And here's the rose. It turned out absolutely awesome. It's my favorite of them all. I should have used a little bit of a bigger container for the rose. It was really cutting it close and went right up to the edge, but that was okay. It ended up turning out just fine. But next time when I make another mold of the rose, I'm going to make sure I use a bigger container. And now I'm just going to go in and trim up some of the edges with a little cuticle trimmer and make everything nice and tidy. So here's a little cuticle trimmer. I got this off Amazon, and see, it just kind of glides nicely along the edge. You can trim everything up and make it nice and pretty so there's not any chunks of silicone hanging off the edge. And I also have my little fingernail clippers here. That's good to get into those kind of hard to reach places. And just be careful, that you don't scratch your mold, because that will definitely show up when you try to use it for resin. And here they are, all trimmed up, nice and pretty. I absolutely love the little keychain with the etching and the rose. That one's my favorite. So if you guys want to try to make your own molds, be sure to check out my friend Lindy on Instagram. I'll link her information down below. She can make you acrylic blanks. You just have to send her a message on Instagram. And let me know which one you guys think is, or which one is your favorite, down in the comments. I got a chance to try all of them out except for the coaster mold because I ran out of resin. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video coming up tomorrow so you can see how they turned out. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Bye!